Hello and welcome to another pattern tutorial. So today we will be looking at how to make these very easy mitts. This is a YouTube exclusive pattern. I don't have it on my blog yet, so you can follow along and make your own mitts. This is beginner friendly tutorial and we will be only using Tunisian knit and Tunisian purl stitches and do very simple decrease. And this is also a great stash busting project. You won't need too much wool for this one, and you can make it in a flash. It's just 17 rows. That's all you will do for this project. Okay, so we will first start making a slip knot, and then we will need to chain the number of chains, which will be corresponding to the number of stitches. So we are working the mitts from here, from the top, then you're working down, and on the last few rows we will be doing a decrease. So these mitts were custom made for my size, so I had 7 inches at the widest part of my palm, and then I also measured it from basically this part of my fingers to go down to wrist. I didn't want them to be longer, also because my wrist here is quite thin in comparison to my palm. So if I did a section that is quite long on my wrist, I would be struggling to get my palm through. But with this one, as you can see, I kind of fold my fingers, but I can still get in there comfortably and have that wider on my fingers and palm and narrower around my wrist. If you don't feel confident enough to do the decreases, which are, by the way, very easy, you can also make it even. If you don't mind that it will be slightly wider on your wrist. I just wanted to make it a little bit snug, so I did a few decreases there. Okay, so let's get back to the pattern. So we have our slip knot, and then for this size, you will chain 23, or if you would like to make adjustments, you will need an odd number of stitches. Okay, so you will yarn over and pull through the loop. That's chain 1, yarn over, pull through the loop, and so on. So I'm going to make a small multiple, and I'll meet you back for the row number 1. So I'm going to let you to go ahead, change the number of stitches that you need, and I'll meet you back in a moment. Once you chain the odd number of stitches, or if you're following the pattern exactly, 23, we'll then start working into the chains. We'll be working into the back bumps of your chain stitches. So you will turn your work around, insert the hook into the back bump from front to back, yarn over and pull up a loop, then into the next one, and every chain of your foundation chain, so you will end up with the corresponding number of loops on your hook. So I've done 21. I'm making a smaller size for my son, so I'm going to do 21. You will repeat this for every chain, including the last chain. And if this is your first Tunisian crochet project, this is known as the forward pass, which is followed by the return pass. So each row, each of your rows, or if you work Tunisian crochet in the round, each round consists of a forward pass where you add your loops on the hook, and then return pass when you work them off. So for this project, for the section that we will be working even, we'll be using the standard return pass, and then for the 2 rows that we will decrease, we will use a return pass with a decrease. So to do the standard return pass, you will need to yarn over and pull through 1, also known as a chain 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2. You'll keep on repeating yarn over, pull through 2 until you have until you have 1 loop left on the hook, and that loop is going to be the first loop or the right edge stitch of your next row. So for the row number 2, this is where we start doing our stitch pattern, and it will be basically repeated for the length of your mitts. So it's essentially it's one row repeat. So we start with Tunisian purl stitch. You'll place the yarn at the front of the hook, insert the hook from right to left, yarn over and pull up a loop, and that's followed by Tunisian knit stitch like so, then Tunisian purl, Tunisian knit and purl, knit and purl, and you go knit and purl all the way across the row, and you will work the last stitch as well, which is known as the end stitch, and there we will do something slightly different. Okay, so the last stitch before the end stitch is purl, and the reason why we have purl stitch and then end stitch is once you sew it, the stitch pattern will appear to be continuing around. So as you will be seaming the mitts at the end, this kind of looks like knit stitch, so it has got that continuous stitch pattern. So the end stitch will work under both strands of the last stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop like so, and then that is followed by standard return pass. For rows number 3 to rows number 14, you will work the stitch pattern as per row number 2. So you will keep on working your purls and knits, alternating them across the row, working a purl stitch into the last stitch and then the end stitch. So I'm going to let you go ahead, do that. This will be for row 3 to 14, so it will take you a little bit of time, and then I'll meet you back for row number 15, and that's where we are going to work the decrease on the return pass. Once you have the body of your mitts, that means you've got all the rows that were worked even done. We will progress on to the next 2 rows, which will be the decrease rows. So on the forward pass, you will still work an even number of stitches. So for this would be row number 15, you would keep on going with Tunisian purl and Tunisian knit stitch. You will alternate it. So what happens now is the change is going to happen on the return pass. So we will decrease on each side of the project by 1 stitch. So if you had 23 chains or 23 stitches at the beginning, this would be reduced to 21, and then on the row after to 19. So once we are at the end, we will work our end stitch, and then you will yarn over, pull through 1. So just to maintain, this is to maintain the edge, and then instead of yarn over, pull through 2, we will yarn over, pull through 3. That's 1, 2, 3, and that's the first decrease. Then we will keep on working yarn over, pull through 2 across the row until we have last 4 loops on the hook. Okay, so I've got 4 loops on the hook. I will do yarn over, pull through 3. That's another decrease, and then yarn over, pull through 2, and that's the edge stitch. For row number 16, we will start by working Tunisian knit stitch into the decrease stitch. So you can see that you've got this roof-like shape here, and that's the decrease stitch. So what we are going to do, we are going to go between the first 2 vertical bars and the second 2 vertical bars at once, as if for Tunisian knit stitch. Then you will keep on working the usual stitch pattern, alternate Tunisian purl stitch with Tunisian knit stitch, until you get to the last 2 stitches. So once you are on the last 2 stitches, you will again work Tunisian knit stitch between the 2 sets of bars on the decrease stitch and work an end stitch. Okay, so this is row number 16, so we are going to repeat the decrease. So we will be on this row, we will also decrease 1 stitch at the beginning and at the end. So you will go yarn over pull through 1 and then yarn over pull through 3, continue working yarn over pull through 2 until last 4 stitches or 4 loops. Got 4 loops, yarn over pull through 3, yarn over pull through 2. Okay, so now there is 19 stitches for the next 2 rows, which will be 17 and 18. You will work this even, so you will maintain the stitch pattern. So for the first one, we will go into the decrease stitch as for Tunisian purl. Keep on working Tunisian knit and Tunisian purl across, work Tunisian purl at the end into the decrease stitch. And so this will be row number 17 and 18. I'll let you to go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back for row number 19, where we will be binding off. As you do your last 2 even rows, you will then work the bind off. So we will do stitch pattern bind off to maintain the way the stitches look all the way to the top of the project. So how to do that? We will first work Tunisian purl stitch, because this is the stitch that would normally be worked at the beginning of the row, and then pull through the loop on the hook. Then you will go into the Tunisian knit stitch and pull through the loop on the hook, and you will bind off in this way across the row, including the end stitch. So once we bind off all of the stitches, you have the option to block your project. Otherwise, I'm going to show you how to seam this. So first you get a darning needle and you thread the yarn. You need to leave a little bit longer tail when you cut your yarn, and then you thread it through the darning needle. So what you do is you put your project facing the wrong side down or the right side up, and then you fold the edges like so, and we are going to be working along the stitches on these edges, so you need to align them, and also you need to measure up. So basically this narrower side of the project is your wrist, so you need to measure up how much you need to sew before you need a space for your thumb. So you can see here on this one, this is how much I left here. So this will be really depending on the size and the shape of your hand. So make sure that when you have your mitt on, you feel comfortable and you can move your thumb around. It's important, especially here, because I think if you leave too little space, that's going to be very uncomfortable and you won't be able to basically use your hand and your thumb properly. So once you figure out where your gap needs to start and end, you can add a pins in there just for you to know. And then we start working the locking mattress stitch. So the locking mattress stitch is really nice stitch. It creates a beautiful seam that is almost invisible. So what you need to do, so we start on the right side, that's where we have the yarn, and then we are going to go on to we'll be working through the top loops. So that's on the left side, that's these loops, these, and on the right side are these loops. So these are the loops we are going to be working. So you go from the right to left into the first loop, like so, and then you go 1 loop up on the left and back where you started on the right. So I'm going to go into this here, Okay, and then you pull the yarn. Then you're going to go one up, on the right and back where you came from on the left. Okay, and then you go one up on the left and back to the one on the right, one up on the right side and go back to where you came from on the left, one up on the left and go back where you came from on the right. Okay, so you got the idea. So you're going to go up, then you leave your gap for your thumb, and then you go, as you leave the gap, you don't have to cut the yarn, you can carry it through the stitches next to the ones that you need to leave out, and then you can restart on the right and go the same way. So as you can see, if I turn this tiny little one around, you can't really see where the seam is on this side. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this very quick basic mitts tutorial. As soon as I write the pattern up, I will add the link to the blog post in the description box below. See you in the next video. Thank you and bye bye.